I thank the chair, and again, thank you for calling this very important hearing. You are indeed the people who do the regulating and the overseeing and the supervising of the industry, which certainly needs all of that, and it's very frustrating to hear of all the abuses and things that are going on that just seem outright unfair and confusing and misleading very often to so many consumers. It was said this morning during the testimony that competition is good for fairness, and indeed, hopefully it is. But sometimes all the competition is to see who can one up the other on coming up with some kind of complicated or scheme that kind of does not put all the information out in front of the public. And it was also said sufficient information to make a decision is absolutely essential for consumers getting a better deal. And that's true also. But in practice, it's highly questionable as to what is really happening out there. I was actually going to do this with the next panel, but thinking about it, I seem to have a credit card or be doing business with everybody that's representing one firm or another. So I thought otherwise. So you're stuck with this. This is stuff that I get. This is just me. These are just solicitations. Every one of them for credit cards. I'm a member of the Financial Services Committee, and I used to teach mathematics, and I was going to ask this of the next panel, because all the information is in every one of them. They disclose everything, and you really do need a magnifying glass with some of the type, and it's impossible to find. And sometimes there's an asterisk, 1 to 7, if there are footnotes, and then you can't find the footnotes for 3 pages. And tell me if anybody's going to read this. But you're all smart people, and you're regulating the industry. So I'm gonna give you, as my grandmother used to say, a for instance. So if you have a pencil and paper, that would be good. If you have a calculator or one of those Blackberries with a calculator in it, that's fair. Anything you want, a computer. You can use your lifeline, consult with a friend, call anybody on your cell phone. You can poll the audience and come up with. But here's a question that I face. Right. I got a credit card with a limit of $7,500, and I owe $4,200 on that credit card, and I'm paying a great rate of 6.5%. And I get this here offer, you see, and the offer gives me this right on the envelope, tells me all sorts of things, and inside tells me some other things, and some of the same things, and different things. And it offers me a great interest rate. Some of us call it a sucker rate, but it's a come-on kind of a rate of 3.99%. for a new credit card for 6 months. And then after that, they tell me I'm going to have to pay 8.74% interest. Now, there's also a transaction fee in small print on the next page of 3%. Now, those transaction fees don't figure into interest rate. So they really changed the name. This is one of those New York, shell games where you can't figure out what's going on because it's happening so quick. So the transition rate is not considered an interest rate, so you all don't take it into consideration. And I got to figure out, because I got to pay it in cold cash, whatever they call it. But I do know that if you charge me a 3% transition fee, and I pay it off quick, let's say in 1 day, I know that 3%, if it was on an annualized basis, would be 3 times 365 days in a year, which in a non-leap year of 365 days would be 1,095%, almost 1,100% if I paid it off. And the quicker I pay it off, the more money it is. So if I pay it off slower to amortize that 3% fee, I get a better deal on an annualized rate if it was a rate. But then again, I get trapped into when they jack the rate up to 8.74%, and I was only paying 6.5%. So my question is, if I take 1 full year to pay it off, and pay it off 100% after the first year, having transferred my balance of $4,200 at 65% to the rate of 3.99 for 6 months, and then paid the 8.74 for the rest of the year, what interest rate would I be paying? Anybody? I only got 5 minutes. And time is running out. And would I be paying more at the end of that than if I left it at my original 6.5%? And that's the dilemma. I withdraw the question and remove. Because
stick with the original card, please.
now, I didn't want to embarrass the people that have all this power over me and send me all this great information to help me make these informed decisions. Because they're my good friends. I know that because they write me so often. But therein lies the dilemma. What's a poor consumer to do? There's something wrong with the interest industry. Take underwear, for example. Some people think it's not an option. So you go and buy it in a place like Sears. And you go in there and they're selling underwear, but someone comes over to you with a clipboard and says, if you take out our credit card, you get 15% off today of anything you buy. So you fill out the form and they approve your credit real quick because they do this great investigation of you, and you're worthy of having underwear at least. And they charge you an interest rate of 24.9%. You got 15% off of the total price, but you're still paying 24.9%. How much do you think they make on the underwear? There's kind of something obscene when you're making more money on the charge card than you are on the underwear. It seems that the retail business has caught on that there's more money in the interest system in the credit card industry than in the retail business. The underwear is an excuse to charge you interest. They're not selling underwear, they're selling credit. And unfortunately, today's retail industry, you're going to be paying interest long after that underwear wears out.
I grant the gentleman 60 additional seconds.
Well, I thank the generosity of the I bought the underwear anyway, so don't be concerned. Does anybody have a response to what's going on? This is not a way to inform a consumer. There is no way when you have a system of fees that's not put into the structure and everybody comes up with it's a 3-month deal or it's a 6-month deal or no interest for a year and there is no correlation. I'm introducing legislation that would say basically that you have to divulge what the annualized rate would be as if it were all interest when you charge a transaction fee. Is there any response to that? Because you all are not regulating that, it seems to me.
Let me just add, I think one of the very key things that we did in this proposal is to actually make it very clear what the fees are. And our consumer testing indicated to us
what the fees are, but it's clear what the fees are. The fees are 3% if you have a magnifying glass, usually. A lot of institutions are capping it now at a specific dollar amount. But there is no way for the average consumer to translate that, as we did with mortgages, and say everything has to be expressed in an annualized way so that people can compare apples to apples. And there are schemes that we all know about points and this and that don't seem to fit into the... But is there going to be an addressing of this, or do we have to do that because the regulatory industry is not?
Okay. Mr. Michelin?
One of the things that our consumer testing found is that consumers really reacted very strongly to information about fees, and that, in fact, the sticker shock from getting information about the fees really did have a big impact on their understanding of the cost of using credit. And this is one of the reasons why we felt that focusing on a separate box on fees, which is a change from what was before, and also on periodic statements making it clear to people what their fees have been and accumulating it for them, actually can make a big difference in terms of them understanding that maybe.
But you can't if the chair would just indulge me another follow-up.
So granted.
If you completely divulge it in 72-point italic bold chartreuse type, it still doesn't help the consumer because each of the credit card companies will inform them, but one will give the deal for 3 months, one 6 months, one 9 months, and nobody annualizes it. And just as you were not able to, and I'm not able to, unless we had a lot of time on our hands, figure out, there is no way to compare it. 3 months at 3% or 6 months at 2% or a year, what does it boil down to me in dollars is really what consumers need to know. And it would be a simple thing to do that because they've come up with these methods of expressing and divulging so that you can't figure it out and compare it quickly. But if everybody had to express it in the same term, this is what it costs you for a year for this money. Fees and everything on an annualized basis, whether you take it out for 3 months or a year or forever.
Okay.
That's what you should be doing.
Okay. Is there any response? And then Mr. Green.
Thank you very much for your interest.
Mr. Green.